Thanks for joining us. I'm Corinne Salcedo, Chair of Fidalgo Democrats. Tonight we'll be presenting 3 local candidates, Mary Hudson, Ken Goodwin, and Elizabeth Nedzweski. Elizabeth had a conflict and cannot join us, but she sent a statement that I'll read later on. I'm nervous about the elections nationally. I expect we all are. I really have the jitters. We're all hoping Democrats will defeat Trump. Plus, we hope to hold the House and retake the Senate. We have a lot of fine local candidates. The 3 tonight were all endorsed by Skagit Democrats before the primary, and we support them too. Our Zoom host is Brad Kleur, who heads the Skagit County Democrats Zoom support team. Everyone is muted now to eliminate background noise. The meeting is being recorded, and our videographer, Zane Butler, will make a YouTube video of the meeting, and I'll send out a link to it when I receive it. Please hold your questions until we get to the question comment period. For simplicity, we'll have just one method of asking questions, by raising your hand. I'll explain how you do that when we get there. Do we have any? Yes, we do. I'd like to invite public officials and any other candidates besides those speaking tonight to say hello briefly and give your title, or say what you're running for if you're a candidate. You'll need to unmute yourself to speak. Click on the mute, unmute button on the lower left of your screen.
Well, I guess I'll go first.
Yeah, I was thinking you would.
Jackie Brunson, Skagit County Treasurer. We're just gearing up for tax day. We've already received a significant amount of tax dollars in the office. People, of course, are, so we have a lot of people that wait until the very last minute, but it'll ramp up every day from now until November 2nd. So don't forget to get your taxes paid by November 2nd. It's November 2nd, not October 31st, because October 31st is on Saturday. So it needs to be postmarked or, put in a Dropbox at the courthouse, or you can pay online. You can pay by credit card, but there's a fee associated with that. It goes to the credit card company, or you can pay by e-check online, and that is currently free.
Jackie, did you say you're the Skagit County Treasurer at the beginning?
Ma'am.
You did. Okay, thank you, Jackie.
Yeah. Otherwise known as the tax collector.
Yes, she's our tax collector. Who else is here? Anybody else?
Can I say a word? I'm Helen Price Johnson's campaign manager.
Okay,
and
Marty.
I just wanted to say hello. Helen has had a conflict tonight, so I'm sitting in for her, and the campaign's going well. We're trying to raise a last, slug of money to increase our digital advertising presence, but we've had a lot of help from people all over the district and sending postcards and joining phone banks. We're starting a serious phone bank operation this Friday night. If you're interested in participating, go to Helen's website at www.helenpricejohnson.org. We're also going to start sign waving all over the district. And if you'd like to do that, you can go to the same place. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for coming and joining us, Marty, and good luck. Okay,
Thanks.
Now I'll introduce Mary Hudson. She lives in Mount Vernon, and she's running for Skagit County Board of Commissioners, District 2, Ken Dahlstadt's seat. And I couldn't get my printer to work, so I wrote all of this in longhand. The position is nonpartisan, but Mary is a Democrat. Her opponent is Peter Browning, who's declared no party preference. Mary is on the Mount Vernon City Council, and she's past president of the Skagit Valley Hospital Foundation, treasurer of Skagit County Farm Bureau. She chairs the Development Services Committee and has chaired Parks, Library Committee, both in Mount Vernon. Mary is a Leadership Skagit graduate and has a wealth of community service, including the Home Trust of Skagit Board, the Northwest Clear Air Agency, Skagitonians to Preserve Farmland, Community Action of Skagit County, and more. Mary will have up to 10 minutes to talk about her candidacy and ideas. Mary, please unmute yourself.
Thank you very much. I forgot I wrote all that because I put it back in my own information here. But again, yes, I'm Mary Hudson. I'm running for Skagit County Commissioner District 2. I've been a resident of Mount Vernon for 44 years. My father is a veteran of the United States Air Force. So we moved a lot when I was younger. And when he retired, my parents chose to live here because of my father's family being in this general area. My mom was a stay-at-home mom for most of my school years, but she always volunteered at the schools. So when we moved here, she took a job at Immaculate Conception Regional School, and she retired from there. As long as I can remember, she was very involved in volunteering. She served on the Mount Vernon Library Board for several years, and that was perfect because she was a very voracious reader. I believe I received the trait from her, as I've also been a community volunteer. As Corinne said, I've served as president of the Skagit Valley Hospital Foundation, volunteered for MONA, Skagitonians to Preserve Farmland, Immaculate Conception Regional School, and the Skagit County Farm Bureau. I'm currently on the board for the Home Trust of Skagit and the Skagit Community Foundation. I believe that my experience on the Mount Vernon City Council has prepared me to bring effective, efficient, and collaborative government to Skagit County. We have an opportunity to build good, strong relationships between the county and our cities. We must continue to address COVID with urgency. Our numbers, unfortunately, are starting to go up. We want our children to be back in school, our businesses to safely reopen, and our economy to recover. This should not be a political issue. We must make smart choices. We are in a position to lead by example all the time. Listen to the guidance from the Skagit County Health Department and our Board of Health. No gatherings in groups larger than 5. Wear your mask, social distance. As a commissioner, I will search for ways to help with economic recovery and assistance to our small businesses to keep them afloat. They need our help. We'll search for ways to help vulnerable citizens avoid rental evictions. It's the right thing to do. We are all in this together. I am known as someone who always does her homework. I read my packet prior to every meeting, and if I have questions, I ask ahead of time as much as possible. I have no desire to put a staff member on the spot. We should all have the same goal: provide service to the public in the most effective, efficient, and cost-efficient way. I enjoy being part of a team. We get more done that way, and we aren't spinning our wheels or believing that we are the only ones with the answer. Here are just a few of the issues I will be addressing right away: affordable and workforce housing, homelessness, economic growth, protecting our valuable farmland. We need to protect this land and be good stewards because we all want food security and clean water. We must always remember that this land we occupy now was home to Native Americans many, many years before us. We must honor and respect that. Also on the topic of farmland, I'm not in favor of urban sprawl or fully contained communities. They do not address the true needs of housing in our county, and they will impact rural land and ultimately place extra financial burdens on the citizens of the county. I will be an advocate for agriculture, however, not by sacrificing rights of others, but with the goal of making things work for as many people as possible. I am considered a farmer. I work for Wells Nursery in Mount Vernon. I've been there for 28 years. I understand the challenges of farming: access to water, wages, and having enough workers to get the job done. I truly believe the best thing we can do right now to help us attract a steady, hardworking workforce is to vote out the current president and turn the Senate blue. There is so much anger and hatred towards our agricultural workers, it's ludicrous. My crew works harder than anyone I know, and all they want to do is feed their families, have a roof over their heads, have their children get a good education, and make their lives better than they were. If anyone has a workable solution, I am certainly open to having a conversation about that. Another thing is governmental transparency. I'm ready to work hard to bring cooperative, common sense government to Skagit County. We must, you must demand accountability. I believe that county government needs to listen to the public as much as possible. I will be advocating right away for at least one evening meeting every month, as many of the people here in the county are not able to attend a meeting during the day. I feel like that's the very least that can be done. I'm also open to attending community meetings when invited to hear from the residents. I believe that listening to the public is one of the most important responsibilities of a commissioner. I promise to combine the forces of the county with those of our cities, ports, and EDASC to ensure responsible growth and economic recovery to all of us. I promise that I won't come into this position believing that I have all the answers. I will always listen, ask questions, and make decisions based on facts. Thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing your questions.
And I had told the candidates that they know that Elizabeth cannot join us tonight, and then I'm reading that long statement. And I had said we'd have one question period after they both speak and I read Elizabeth's statement. But I think that's a long time to wait. And so I think we can go ahead with with questions for Mary. So if you have a question, see participants at the bottom of your screen in the center. Click there, and then you see the list of who's here, who's on the call on the right. And down at the bottom, look for raise your hand and click there, and then your name goes to the top of the list. And then I'll call on you and unmute yourself, and away you go. So who's got a question? And you can make a comment too. That's what happened last time. We did it this way, and nobody had any questions for the first speaker. They have to think about it for a while, maybe.
Okay.
Philippe, was that you piping up? Philippe, unmute yourself.
Yeah.
I think
You have
got
a
one.
couple of hands raised, Corey.
You have what?
Jody Peterson has a question, I believe. They raised their hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not
Yeah.
looking over here.
Jo-
Okay, Jody, go
I have
ahead.
a question.
Nick, go ahead. My husband has a question.
Hi, we're new to the group
Okay.
and fairly new to Skagit County. So at the risk of sounding ignorant, I don't really understand what the county commissioners do. Could you just really briefly, because I don't want to bore everybody who already knows this, but I'm speaking from a position of
We don't have county commissioners in Alaska, which is where we're from. So we don't know what you do.
yeah, we have no idea. We're in the dark.
Neither do I. No, I'm kidding. I think the major goal of the county commissioners is they have the authority over budgeting. So they have the budget authority for all departments in the county. They're in charge of public services like roads and streets, roads. Did I say roads? I did roads.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I'm sort of blanking a little bit, but I know the biggest thing is they do have budget authority over all the departments of the county, because there are other departments like Jackie here. Jackie is an elected official. So she has power, I guess is the right word, over her own department, but we have the power of the purse, if you will. I guess that's probably a good way to put it. So we do roads, bridges, infrastructure. There's a lot of different committees that the commissioners serve on, outside of their daily life, if you will. They do code, zoning, that type of thing. So
would it be fair-
and that's a really basic.
I was going to say, would it be fair to say that if we wanted to see road improvements, you would have the financial authority to say whether that happened or not in the county?
For the county roads.
Yeah, there's a process, obviously, that you would make a request, try to talk to the commissioners or follow the proper channels. Mostly you can get a hold of the commissioners and start it that way. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, who's next? Not seeing anybody else.
Don and Maria, looks like Don's waving his hand.
Okay, is it Don or Marie? Which one?
It's Dawn.
Okay, Don, go ahead.
Well, what Mary said on her early introduction about the Native American people being here first, I'm glad she brought that up because, you know, they've been here for thousands of years, and they not only consider this area that we live in and the land and the water is abundant for their food, but they also have a sacred attitude towards maintaining it as healthy as can be.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we owe an awful lot to their attitude about this area.
I agree. We have to respect their, I guess, position or place in our history. We have to be good stewards of the land. We have to work with them.
Mary, since my husband spoke, I just have a question, and you might want to explain to all of us, even us who have been around in Skagit County a long time, how many commissioners there are.
Oh, there's 3 commissioners. The county is broken into 3 districts. You can go to the skagitcounty.net website, and it shows you a map of the three districts. Personally, my district is 2, and that it encompasses Mount Vernon south, like to Conway, to the county line. It's a kind of a inverted V, I guess, for lack of a better description. But but by saying that, as a county commissioner, I feel like even though you do represent a district, you represent the whole county. You need to look over the needs for everybody.
Okay, Billy, you have your hand up. Billy Hudson.
Yes. Colleen, I think Jackie Brunson had her hand up before me.
I was giving you a chance because you haven't spoken.
Oh, okay. Thank
And then
you.
we'll go to Jackie.
All right. Thank you very much. I think very, very eloquently described the farm workers and the concern about them. And I was curious if she would care to elaborate a little bit more. This is one of the things I'm really concerned about in all of these COVID issues and the push and pull. We tend to forget about these folks, and I would appreciate if Mary would care to elaborate a little bit more. If there are any specific actions that she would have in mind to help these folks attract more, so our farmers won't get hurt.
Well, I have to be honest, that's a really tough question, and it's a really tough fix, in my opinion, because I think it kind of starts in the way our immigrant policy works. We shouldn't make it shouldn't be as hard as it is, and it's really expensive. I do believe that we need to have the Dreamers Act needs to be fully enacted. I don't like the thought of it going away. That's very frustrating to me. I think the biggest thing for me is we have to make it easier for them to become citizens, or I'm not saying that there's a good number of them that are legal citizens, but if they're here and they're working, they work harder than anyone I know. I try to find workers for my jobs, and I don't mean this to sound callous or racially insensitive, but I never get a white person to come apply for a job. It's hard work. And I know my work is hard. I know farming in general is extremely difficult, and it's backbreaking work. And we're so fortunate that we have these mostly just lovely people that want to come and work hard for us to put food on the table. And they're treated poorly by just so many people that it's heartbreaking to me. I think everyone should be valued as a person. And I want that, I talk to my crew. I talk to them all the time about lots of things. I have some of them that come into my office and want to talk about the election. So, we have really good conversations, and I know that what they really want is they want their kids to do well. They want to have a better life. They don't want to be put under a microscope all the time. They're just trying to do their job and like I said, put a roof over their head and be good citizens. They pay taxes. They're not doing anything wrong. They're just trying to get ahead in their life from what they had before. So like I think for me it really does mean we need to get him out of the White House. We need to have a more compassionate Senate. It's so hypocritical the way they talk. It's just frustrating to me. So obviously that's a big push. That's not something that I personally can do, but I can sure advocate for it and push for it because it's really how I believe.
Thank you. Okay, Jackie Brunson, thanks for your patience.
No worries. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Jackie.
I noticed you were in on my budget meeting this morning.
I was.
But I just wanted to ask you, COVID aside, what you see as the one biggest issue that the county is facing right now.
Well, the budget is going to be a big issue I think, for the county moving forward. I have been, like you said, I've been listening in on a lot of the budget meetings when I can because I have a job and sometimes I can't make it. But I've been really impressed by the detail that I've been able to see with all the links I've been forwarded to actually be able to follow along the process. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of people. There's a lot of moving parts, and it's not going to be easy to come to a good conclusion or figure out a good solid budget. I think there's going to have to be really hard choices made. And I believe it has to happen sooner rather than later. I'd rather be able to bring people back. And I don't take this lightly. I don't like the thought of having to lay people off or furlough people. But I think we have got to be realistic and say there are things that we've got to do now. We've got to tighten our belts and make hard choices now so that we can add people back as our economy, God willing, improves and we get a handle on COVID, because really that really is the driver. We all know that. So I think, the budget to me is a huge opportunity. But then I think we really need to dive into housing. We need to be working together to figure out what we can do in our cities to accommodate the housing that we need, because we all know with the GMA, the cities are supposed to take 80% of the housing and 20% in the county. So that's why I'm not a fan of fully contained communities, because I believe it impacts the farmland and we can't afford to lose any more of our farmland. We need to have a secure food system. And I think we've seen that with COVID. We've seen the impacts that have happened. So I think we have to be really smart, but we have to work together. More than anything, I think we need to have a collaboration of minds. We need to come together with a common goal and work towards it. We have to have a plan. We have to have a strategic plan to move forward. And so I think for me, like you said, Jackie, COVID obviously, but then the budget, and then I think housing is our next really big thing.
Thank you, Mary. Okay,
Mhm.
let's go to Jody Dean, who's with the Home Trust of Skagit. Jody?
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Jody.
Hi, thank you. Hi, Mary. I really appreciate your good work. I can back you when you said you do your homework before you attend a meeting. I've experienced that with you. It's most helpful. You delve right into problem solving rather than holding up things. I know it's helped Home Trust in building affordable homes for families. Also, I'd like to thank you I do have a question for you, but I'd like to thank you I grew up with farm workers. I'm a farm girl. I come from farm stock, and you couldn't have said it more better about farm workers, their ethics. They want to work hard. They want to take care of their children and build a family. And I appreciate your belief system on that. And my question for you tonight is, what sets you apart from your opponent? What is one thing you can give a 1-minute soundbite on?
I think the fact that I'm not coming into this thinking I know all the answers. I think I know that I need to listen to those people who are smarter than me on subjects, and that I don't think I can come in and fix all the problems that and not necessarily problems is probably not the best word, the opportunities that we've got. We've got a lot of things on our plate, and I feel like I get along with people. I like talking to people. I like listening and learning, and I'm ready to do the hard work. I'm a worker. I'm not someone who sits back and lets everybody else do everything. I want to get in there and help solve things.
Thank you. Let's go to Jackie Boss. Hi, Jackie. You have to unmute yourself.
There, I'm unmuted.
Okay,
I just
go
wanted,
ahead.
I wanted to very fast answer, I think it was Malit's question, right, about how to help the farm workers. And I've been taking things to the Catholic Community Service at 2727 College Way in Mount Vernon. And they really like to have particularly diapers, sizes 4, 5, and 6. They like to have, and then cards for going to the grocery store, all sorts of different things like that. You can just imagine. I won't take any more time because the rest of you are giving very good answers to some of these questions. But there are places here in Skagit County that you can help out farm workers. That's it.
Jackie's doing great. She goes there every week. And when she's done there, then she takes what they couldn't use to Goodwill and sits in her car for an hour and a quarter. And she takes mine stuff with her.
Wow.
Okay, Patty Santangelo, do you have a question or comment? Patty,
I got it.
Unmute. Yeah, all right.
I just wanted to mention that there is a book around about the farm workers that you can read. It's called Fresh Fruit, Broken Bodies by Seth Holmes. Seth was a doctor who came up and spent a summer with a large 500 worker farm, otherwise known as Securas, but and he talks about the different things that he did and how he was treated for all the things. You go into a bank on Friday to cash your check, they won't cash the Mexican Americans check till all the white ones are gone through. They just have to sit and wait or stand and wait. And when he was with them, they kept coming, come on up. No, I'm going to wait for my friends. And it's just all the little things that you don't think about. So,
thank you. It's a very good book.
Yeah, it is. I think I have an extra copy as well.
And it's in paperback.
Yeah.
Okay, Jody's got another one. Jody Peterson.
No, I just don't know how to take my hand down.
Oh, okay.
I got it.
I think, all right.
Thank you.
That's why we have a Zoom host to do the things we don't know how to do. Right, Brad? Okay, I think now we need to move ahead. Thank you so much, Mary. I will read the statement from Elizabeth Yost Nedzweski. She's a candidate for Skagit County Superior Court judge, which is a nonpartisan position, but she is a Democrat. She's running against Tom Seguin. Is that the right pronunciation? Seguin? Here's her statement. I apologize for not being able to join you tonight. I'm participating tonight in the League of Women Voters Candidate Forum recording for my campaign for Skagit County Superior Court judge. Otherwise, I'd have really appreciated the opportunity to speak with you tonight on Zoom. I'm a graduate of Anacortes High School, Western Washington University, and Washington and Lee University School of Law in Virginia. I'm an experienced trial attorney with a background in both civil and criminal law. I'm currently a senior deputy defender with the Skagit County Public Defender's Office. I supervise our office's juvenile, mental health, and parents representation units. I work closely with people from all backgrounds, many of whom, struggle with mental health issues and have been victims of crime and are unable to afford housing. I have seen the devastation of chemical dependency and celebrated sobriety and stability with clients and their families. I also serve as Vice President of the Northwest Justice Project on their board, which provides civil legal assistance to low-income people. I'm running for judge because it's important that our judges understand and care about the struggles our community members face every day. I've seen these struggles, work closely with the people facing them and community partners to find solutions, and advocated for equitable justice for all throughout my career. In a county as tightly connected as Skagit, the struggles of one truly do have an impact on all. Our judges have an impact on every aspect of our lives as a community, whether from deciding child custody disputes to sentencing those convicted of crimes to deciding complicated business or contract disputes. If elected, I will always uphold the law, work to ensure public safety, eliminate the many barriers to justice that so many of our neighbors face. If you're interested in learning more about my campaign or seeing a full list of endorsements, please visit my website, www.elizabethforjudge.com. Thank you very much for your time and attention to this important nonpartisan race. I humbly ask for your support. Sincerely, Elizabeth. And now we'll go to Ken Goodwin. Thank you for your patience, Ken.
Oh, no, this is quite all right. This is enjoyable.
Good. Ken is a candidate for Skagit PUD Board of Commissioners, position 1, running for a 6-year term against Andrew Miller to replace Al Littlefield. He's running as an independent for a nonpartisan office. Ken has an MBA in accounting from University of Washington. He's done this job before in Woodinville for 17 years as a Woodinville Water District Commissioner. Ken recently served as a Port of Anacortes Commissioner. Also, he was Director of Finance for Alderwood Water and Wastewater District, 12 years. Vice President and Treasurer of the Washington Association of Sewer and Water Districts, and a CPA in Seattle. He also has extensive community service. Ken, you can have up to 10 minutes.
Oh, thank you. Well, I've been a Washington resident for over 60 years, graduated from Mountain Lake Terrace High School. And for the past 20 some years, I've been coming to Skyline on my way to Decatur Island. I had a little cabin over there that the family and I used. And all those years coming through Anacortes and Skagit Valley, I says, you know, when I retire, I think this would be a good place to live. And it certainly is. So 8 years ago, my wife and I moved here and I built a home. And we've been in it for about 7 years. I'm not a big golfer, so spending my time doing that was not going to be rewarding. Most of my life has been dedicated to public service, and that's the way I like to give back to the community. So I got involved in a couple of organizations here. I got on the Skyline SMOA 17 Board of Directors and did some work with them. I'm involved with our HOA Board of Directors, helping them get through some of the issues on some of the homes that are being built. I got involved with the Marine Advisory Committee for the Port of Anacortes, sat on that for a while. And then when the opportunity came to run for this Port of Anacortes Commissioner position, I did that and have been doing that for several years, and I very much enjoy it. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. We do a lot of environmental cleanup work. That's probably the most exciting to me, and we've been doing a lot. We got more to do. So you might wonder, well, why am I going to leave as a commissioner of the Port of Anacortes? And the reason is that I heard that Al Littlefield was going to retire, and that Aaron Berg was going to be moving out of town. And they were taking with them over 35 years of experience in governance and water, leaving one commissioner a talented fellow that has some government experience, but no water experience. So I said, wow, there's an opportunity to get back into the municipal water arena. And I had done that for a couple of decades, as Corinne's indicated on her brief introduction there. So it was too compelling an opportunity to pass up. So I threw my hat in the ring, and that's what I'm doing. The PUD is a special purpose district. It's primarily providing water in the municipal arena to residents, some commercial businesses, some to the farmers. And it's also gotten involved in fiber, which is a small piece of what they do, but it's primarily just providing water. And I've got a history of providing clean, safe, and reliable water at the lowest responsible cost. And I think that's the thing that's needed at the PUD. Is somebody that's had that kind of experience and can bring it and apply it and assist the staff in doing their job and assist the commissioners. There are 2 commissioners now there, and while they have some good governance experience, their water experience is not very deep. So I can help them through the process too. And as you've indicated, I've been a commissioner in the water districts. I've been a director of finance for Alderwood Water District. So I've been both on the commissioner side and the staff side. So I think both of them made me a better commissioner and a better staff. So I think I have a great deal to present to those folks. A couple of things that are equally important to me, as Mary's indicated, in terms of the farmland, is the preservation of the ag lands here. When I was in Woodinville, I was involved with an organization called the Hollywood Hill Association. It was kind of like a homeowners association, but they didn't care about the color of your house. Their prime mission was to preserve the agricultural or the rural character of the community. And the agricultural production district in the Sammamish Valley there was a big part of the strategic goal to keep that or to maintain our rural character. King County and the North Shore Soccer League got together and they wanted to convert over 60 acres of ag lands to recreational use. That's a violation of an awful lot of laws and rules there that went on in our area. Those lands had their development rights purchased and were permanently in ag. But King County did it anyhow. So our association, I was president then, along with other farm activities or other farmers and other organizations, sued King County, and we went to the state Supreme Court, and we won a decision there and reversed that activity. So we not only talked about it, but we did some things and preserved the ag lands in the Sammamish Valley. So I'm committed to doing what I can to preserve the ag lands in Skagit Valley also. I had another opportunity to go to the state Supreme Court. As a director of finance at Alderwood, the Department of Revenue came in and wanted to change the way that they were going to tax us on public utility tax. And I said, gosh, I don't see how you can do that. We're following the laws and the WAC, and I don't see your calculation as being valid. We worked with that fellow and his supervisor. We went down to Olympia and dealt with the head of the Department of Revenue and absolutely got nowhere. And I went back to my board of directors and I said, these guys are really wrong. And this is going to cost our ratepayers $100,000 a year. And they wanted to go back 3 years and cost us $300,000, plus all the other ratepayers in the state of Washington would have to pay a higher tax. So I asked them to allow me to put a budget together and hire a team and take them to court. And we did that. We found a lawsuit in Spokane that was very similar to ours. They had won against the department and at the Superior Court level, lost at the appellate court level, and were floundering and didn't know what they wanted to do. And I says, we'll take your case all the way to the Supreme Court. We'll jump on board and we'll pay for it. We did that and we won a unanimous decision. And that saved the ratepayers of not only Alderwood, but throughout the state, millions of dollars. So I'm not afraid to take on government when they're inappropriate. The best way to work with government is cooperatively. And I've got a history of doing that too. As a member of the Washington Association of Sewer and Water Districts, King County got into trouble with their finance investments. And I was asked by all the King County water districts that had their money at King County to sit on a committee and work with them to revise their investment strategies. And we worked with King County and did that, and they're in a better position in terms of how they analyze and make their investments of the public monies. So I look forward to working with the other agencies. Water issues have been complex in Skagit Valley. They're complex throughout the state. They're complex throughout the nation. Western water law has been around a long time. First in time, first in right. The U.S. Supreme Court's imposed some restrictions on water for us. Our state Supreme Court has done it. The tribes have some water rights that need to be honored and protected. This is an issue that is so complex, and there's no one commissioner that's going to come in and solve it for anybody. But I have had experience with working with water issues. I was a member of the Snohomish River Regional Water Authority, Woodinville, North Shore, and the city of Everett. We purchased the Weyerhaeuser water right, 36 million gallons a day. And then we worked through the system, working with the state, the feds, the tribes, and we were able to convert that from an industrial water to a municipal water use. And we were also able to change the place of use from where Weyerhaeuser had it to the city of Everett, Woodinville, and North Shore. And it was the largest transfer of water right in the history of the state. So it's not likely that we can do that again easily, but I'm familiar with the process and have been through it. So I understand what goes on there. So I don't know what we can do in the Skagit Valley, but I am committed to working with the other agencies to do what we can, because we need to do something for the farmers. The PUD has a limited water right. It has an annual quantity that it can take. It has an instantaneous quantity that it can take. There are in-stream flow requirements that have to be met for fish. So it's not easy. It's not going to be easy to help the farmers, but there are some things we can do. They've done it in the past in the drought declaration by the governor a couple of years ago, and Anacortes was able to release some of their water to a system. So I'm looking forward to meeting these challenges. I've got the technical experience to work with the staff at the PUD, and got the regional experience to work with water issues and other issues in the Skagit Valley. And I'm just excited to get back into the municipal water business.
All right, Ken, thank you so much. So what questions do you have for Ken Goodwin? Or comments too? Don's got his hand up.
No, Marie does.
Marie, you didn't push the little button, but I see you.
Okay.
Marie Ebsen, everybody, Highland Drive.
Well, I can tell by the people who are on here, a lot of us are from Anacortes. So Ken, explain how Anacortes's water rights taking out of Skagit Valley, how that is connected to PUD.
Well, the government agencies have water rights. Anacortes has a very large water right. The PUD has a water right granted by the state, and it's documented. And they're both taking water out of the river. The PUD buys some of their water from Anacortes and then retails it out. They also have their own water rights. They have some wells. So they work cooperatively, but they're independent, separate water rights. And you can't take one from the other just because you want to. And you can't use water from one area to another one without permissions from Department of Health and Ecology and others. So it's not easy to move water around. Ecology has granted some emergencies during one of the last droughts and allowed that to happen, but that's not an ongoing permanent solution.
As long as we're, may I say something?
Yes, you may, Don Ibsen.
Ken, it's not lost on me that the Anacortes and Skagit Valley has the second largest water flow river in the state next to the Columbia River. And what a blessing we have. Wouldn't Seattle like to have the Skagit River flowing into their backyard with a big city like that? And we have that. So can you speak a little bit to the blessing we have in the river we have and how we have to preserve it also?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. We're very fortunate to have what we do have, even though, we want more. The farmers don't have enough, and they don't have enough when they need it is the issue. And we rely on the snowpack up in the mountains in the wintertime, and it melts down, and we use it in the summer, and that usually happens. We are in climate change. So, we're not going to we may not have as much snow in the mountains as we used to. And people say, well, then let's just build another dam and dam it up when we have it, and we use it when we need it. Getting another dam built somewhere is probably not in the cards. It's just not going to happen. And, we're blessed with a lot of water coming through, but there are a lot of straws in that river. Anacortes has a straw, the PUD has a straw, the farmers have a straw, and the tribes have a straw in terms of in-stream flows for fish, which, you've got to have that, or those salmon are just not going to come back. So a lot of demands on that precious resource we have. And let's cross our fingers that climate change doesn't dramatically change it or alter it, because if it does, we're going to have more issues with drought and just the lack of water. And there are things you can do. Governments, water districts, and PUDs have changed the plumbing codes significantly, or the governments have, and that's allowed. It's almost like getting another water source when you reduce the flow on the shower heads and other appliances. So the conservation is another source of water for us, and we should continue doing that.
You can also save water if you every time you go pee in the toilet, you don't flush it each time. You let it build up and flush it once.
Well, I remember in Seattle, they had the saying, if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down, because they've had droughts there.
Yep.
There's a book out, it's called Cadillac Desert. It's been out for a while. PBS had a big special on it, and it talks about the Western water. But the thing that really struck me is that the Colorado River is a pretty big water system, but there are so many straws in that river that river no longer goes to the ocean. It trickles into the sand and somewhere in Mexico, and that's it. And you can overtax a water system.
We had a daughter that lived in Yuma, Arizona, and that's just before it gets into Mexico. And she said that's the Colorado River out there. I mean, it was just a little dribble coming down there at that point. It was just amazing how little water was at that Yuma, Arizona, Colorado River.
Yes, we can take too much.
Okay, there's Billy and there's Patty, and I didn't see which one came first. Who raised your hand first? Patty or Billy?
Go ahead,
No.
Patty. It's okay.
Go ahead, Patty. Thank you, Billy. Patty Santangelo.
I was mainly wondering about the in-stream flow rule in the area that cannot have any new wells. And if there was any suggestions on how to fix that.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about was the Hearst decision that came out a few years ago, and the state, provided some relief to most areas, but not Skagit Valley. And I, for the life of me, don't know why Skagit Valley was treated differently. But it's you just can't drill a well anymore without going through a process, and it's just more of an example of the complications involved with water law imposed by the government, not only imposed by the courts, but by our local governments and the tribes. And it's just not going to get any easier. and the best thing we can do is just, just keep working together and meeting and seeing we can somehow, come up with some kind of solution that gives everybody a little bit. But it's a scarce resource, and this is going to be tough. And I'm really glad to hear that that Mary's encouraging development within cities and not in the county, because you have to have the infrastructure for people, and the cities have that with the water, and it's hard to get water out to other areas in the county. So keeping the population growth within the cities is really makes a lot of sense from a water delivery standpoint.
Okay, Billy. What's on your mind for Ken?
Well, Ken, at the risk of sounding redundant, would you be so kind to just briefly describe to us what does a PUD commissioner do, or the commissioner's team do, especially like when it comes to proposing new projects, doing some new infrastructure issues? How many folks function?
Yeah, the commissioner for a PUD is very like a commissioner with the Port of Anacortes, is that we set policies. We oversee staff. We hire a general manager to do all the technical work. And then he hires the engineers, the finance people, and the maintenance people to do all that kind of technical work. The commissioners, a big issue for them is the budget, and approving what the staff want to do. And you can have a big influence there, and it's important to understand what they're doing and are the priorities correct. The policies the commissioners set will influence the direction that the PUD goes. There's an area of concern for water districts, and it's the capital improvement side. It's pretty easy to pass budgets for the operations, the maintenance, and the taxes and insurance and that sort of stuff. But the capital improvement program is a key one, and it's an area where commissioners can get in trouble, because it takes a lot of money to fund these capital improvement programs, and you don't get a result tomorrow. You're looking 10, 20 years down the road, and commissioners that are doing their job correctly say, no matter what we're doing today, we have to be able to provide clean, reliable water 20 years from now, 30 years from now. So you have to look long-term and to say, okay, now what is it going to take to get there in 30 years? And commissioners usually don't stick around that long. So I've seen, and it's a trap and you got to be careful of it, commissioners saying, well, I'm not going to raise water rates, because water rates are the primary source of getting money put into the savings account for these capital programs. And they say, well, I want to get reelected. We'll keep the water rates down and we'll just not fund that piece of it because it doesn't matter. For the term that I'm going to be here, nobody will notice that we didn't do our job. But that's an important one to me. I've been in the business long enough to know that you can't short circuit that one. And I'm glad to hear the PUD. They talked about their budget today, and they've got $150 million of projects over the next 10 years. And they've got a plan that they've come up with to fund it. And it's rate increases. And no one likes to have rate increases, but it's absolutely necessary if you want to have a reliable water system. And so I'm pleased that the existing commission, or at least the staff are proposing it, and the commissioners are going along with it, that they have a major focus on capital improvements. And it's going to be big and it's going to be huge, but they've got a good plan in place. Now it needs to be executed. It needs the steady hand of the commissioners to keep them online and to be headed in that direction, and try to keep all the other superfluous stuff from getting in their way.
Thank you, Ken. Anybody else got a closing question or comment to make? Nope. I think maybe we're done. Look at that.
Corinne, it's Brad. I've got a question.
Okay, Brad Klor, our eminent Zoom host.
Hi, Ken. How do you deal with the moral dimension of turning off the water to a family's home?
That's a tough one. We set the policy at Woodinville. I had staff that did the work. At Alderwood, the commissioner set the policy, and it came down to my department, finance department, to deal with delinquent water bills. And it's a tough situation when somebody can't have their water. There's a state law, a very strong one, that governments cannot gift public funds. And you cannot gift water. You can't say to somebody, I understand you're in a tough spot, but we're not going to charge you for the water. You can't do it. It's against the state constitution. So what we've done at Alderwood and other places is you have organizations that you identify, churches, other community organizations that do charitable work, and you guide the people towards those and have them assist the people in paying these bills. You can't set up payment plans. It's a lending of credit. It's a very tough one. The laws on water collection are very strong in this state, and it's a lien that doesn't go away. So what I've seen recently with COVID at the PUD, because they're talking about it, is there's a moratorium. The governor said you can't shut people off, you can't charge them late fees, and those are good things, because what's going on with COVID is nobody's fault. It's just something that's happened. But it doesn't allow the PUD to forgive a water debt. That still exists. So what the PUD has been doing is there's some money in the CARES Act, and they're working now with some of the city and the county. It has not completed yet, but they're working closely with them to get some of that CARES money and apply it towards some of these late bills. So those that are in most need can get, I think it's up to $400 that they're allowing, that can be credited to their account, and the CARES Act money is going to fund it. So I'm pleased to see the PUD be involved in doing that to assist those that have had a tough time and have an outstanding bill, because shutting off the water is just always a terrible moral thing to do. But in this state, there are very few opportunities to do anything about it.
My impression is that there's a racket going on down there, because they'll turn water off on people that own their homes. Obviously, they're going to get paid if the home is sold in escrow, and people are getting paid to run around on nights and weekends to turn people's water off. And I'd appreciate it if you become commissioner, if you could stop what is pretty obvious to me as a racket.
Yeah, I'm not sure, what's going on there. I mean, you can't there's a whole process you have to go through to get to shut off, and people really have to get behind on their bill.
Yeah, I had auto pay going on that was a little bit less than what I was using for, I think I got out 60 days. I just didn't notice it. And the guy came back, and I heard from it about it from my wife, as you might imagine. So I did a little bit investigating on it, and it was just pretty flat ridiculous, because like I say, a home goes to escrow and the water district's going to get paid. I mean, it's not like they're not ever going to get paid. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, good organizations have a whole process to go through, and it's communication with people, not just your water, you're behind on your water and you lock it off. There's a whole process that good organizations go through to cooperate with individuals, and turning it off is kind of the last resort. Sorry you went through that. That's not right.
Well, I think it deals with a deeper issue, which Democrats understand, which is their systematic bias against people that oftentimes don't have much money. And I mean, we've seen this shift of wealth happen, even COVID. I forget exactly how much, but the people that are playing the market are making a ton of money at the cost of people who are just simply working and getting by. And I think we're kind of caught up in that as a moral thing that ends up with a family having their water turned off because they can't afford it, instead of us figuring out how to make it work for all people, especially working people.
Right, yes.
Could I add a tiny bit to Ken's answer, Brad?
Please, Mary.
Sure.
I can tell you that the city of Mount Vernon is involved in the CARES funding for delinquent water bills. We're working on that project right now. So I'm very happy and proud of us actually for doing that. We felt that it was really important to do something like that. So I just wanted to throw that in for you too.
Thank you, Mary.
Mhm.
Thank you. Billy, do you, your hand is still up. Do you have something else or did you just leave your hand up?
No, I was just clapping. I think that was an excellent question by Brad, and I appreciate the responses. I think that's very important, especially with this COVID issue. Anyway, so thank you, Cory.
Yes, I'm really glad to hear about that money in the CARES Act. So anybody else? I think that's it. It's just after 8 o'clock. Somebody asked me, will the meeting be an hour? And I said, yeah, put in an hour or an hour and a quarter. So our next meeting will be Tuesday, November 10th, and the topic is to be determined. If you're on our list, I think you're all on our list. You'll get an invitation later on. So you're welcome to stay and chat or leave the meeting, whichever. Good night.
Good night. Thank you for
Thank
having
you
me.
very much.
Thank you for coming. Thank
Yeah.
you all.
Bye.